Well, my name is Yasodeva Das. I am a monk, or a brahmachari. It's a type of monk, a Hare Krishna. And that's the most of it right there. It means a lot, actually. It means that I spend my time studying and teaching about yoga philosophy, the ancient wisdom of the yoga culture, and practicing it and distributing it to others. I'm originally from America. I've been living in New Zealand and Australia for about 8 years. Just returned. Travel a lot. Meet a lot of nice people. Get inspired along the way. That's who I am. Yoga is about experiencing a higher state of reality by developing one's consciousness, an evolution of consciousness. You know, we spend so much of our time being concerned with the evolution of our material form and my bank balance and my house and my partners and things like that. How can I involve those? How can I improve those? But without the subsequent evolution of our consciousness, with the development of that, we can't really expect to get much from those things. And so the culture of yoga is about how to really get the most out of our life by having a more advanced consciousness. And so that's why when you hear about things like karma and about dharma, mantras and that sort of stuff, all coming from this yoga culture, they're all meant for that purpose, for exercising one's mind and inspiring one's soul, so that when we're going about our life, as everyone does, we're getting more out of it. We're getting everything out of it. That's the point. So that's what the yoga culture is about. It's not so much a belief, but it should be a practical experience of complete satisfaction and fulfillment. Karma literally means activity. Yeah. Like you remember Newton's law of action and reaction. Right. The same thing is described in regards to karma. However, in the yoga culture, karma takes into account our particular state of consciousness. So it's not just that there's an action and a guaranteed reaction, but rather, depending on one's state of mind, you'll get a different reaction from the next person. You know so many people who are very optimistic, and no matter what seems to happen to them, they always kind of take it in stride and come out on top in the end anyway. And there's some people who have such a state of mind that they're always drawing negativity to themselves, always causing so many problems for themselves. Those two people might have been in the exact same environment, in the same situations, but with different results. So there's still action and reaction, but based on a state of mind, you get a different reaction. So that's karma. Our karma can be burned up, really, particularly by knowledge, by self-control. And so that we can see what sort of activities do I constantly get myself into, and how can I willingly change that, you know? But to have the strength to fight against the influence of that nature, which has been so habituated in us and which is inherent in the environment around us, you really have to do it yourself. There's no simple solution. We always want to avoid that, right? I always want to avoid the responsibility that's on myself to help others.
So it's like, you gotta fully get there, fully go there, so you can be an example.
Even if you don't fully get there and fully go there, still you can spread that around. Still you can be a positive influence on others. I mean, I can quote Mahatma Gandhi, everybody likes him. He said you have to be the change you want to see in the world, and the same is true in our culture. Without having that effect on ourselves, without being unbound ourselves, how can we expect to unbind someone else? How can we expect to liberate someone else? So I think first we should feel the need to become qualified to help others. The first thing that the lifeguard will teach you is that you have to learn how to protect yourself, right? Because if you go into the water where someone's drowning, they're a very chaotic state of mind and they're really frightened and whatnot, they'll grab onto anything to keep themselves up, especially you, because you're the one who's coming out there, if you're the lifeguard. And so what they taught us in lifeguard training is that you have to know how to protect yourself, how to approach a person so that they can't just jump on you and take you under. And eventually coach them so that they can help themselves to get out of the water. So similarly, if we want to change the collective consciousness, we have to become qualified to help others. Sentiment is not going to do it. I know this is kind of a hard thing for a lot of people. It's not just by good sentiment. We can't just sit around just wishing that the world's going to change, hoping and dreaming and singing and praying. We actually have to get out and make ourselves qualified to help others. And I think if we really love the environment we're in, if we really love the people we want to help, then you'll do that. I think that humanity needs to learn to see a true, if I may use some classic quips, see a true brotherhood of man on a spiritual platform. Because materially, there's always differences between us. Your skin looks a different color from mine. You're from a different country from mine. You have a different type of body. You have different ideas. You have a different whatever. There's so many differences on a material platform. And so inherently there can't be unity. There can't be perfect unity. Nowadays there's an attempt made in the form of the United Nations, you know. The idea is that there should be more unity amongst all these nations and brotherhood. But really what we see outside the United Nations headquarters is just more and more flags. And they're all of different colors. They're all of different stripes. Is there really unity there? Just business. But when we can start to perceive not only just the humans around us, but every living entity on a spiritual platform, then we see where we're really relating, what we really have in common. And then we see why it's worthwhile to be a servant to others rather than to exploit them. If we can't see others around us in a spiritual perspective, there's no hope for unity and brotherhood. There's just no hope for it. There can only be a very temporary business agreement, which doesn't last. History has shown that it just doesn't last.